Oh no, now the knee. Well, that was it. Manu, what's he done there? He's sold the dummy with a knee injury. It's a fake knee injury. That is set up a try for Momirovski.
It's the next tackle. He gets an offload. He goes back and gets the football. Probably feels a cramp coming on in the back of his calf. And then just takes off.
Oh, what a beauty. So, you pick which has been the better moment. The bloke kicking the ball back from the traffic at the southern end, or Manu, the cramp, the fibber, and takes off to set up a try.
Welcome back, ladies and gents, to another episode of the Supercoach Tragics podcast. I'm your host, Dan, coach of Badonkadon, fresh off a hot week. Tonight, we're only got a small crew tonight, just myself and Glenn. Glenn, mate, how was your week?
Yeah, you know how it was, mate. It was a horror. It's like I said, it's the sixth round in a row where I've played with 16 players. I keep losing them, but decisions made. I was going to buy Tedesco. I bought Turbo. Then I put the captaincy on him. I had again. I could have looped Hines and still come out ahead. My lowest player was 39, but yeah, I was 1,000 and something, 33, or maybe less than that. It was 1,000 something. I dropped from 3K to 6K, then 6K to 10K. So I'm killing it.
Well, if you're gonna go, like, if you're gonna get a bad score, you may as well get in a round where most people got bad scores too. It wasn't like one of those 1,500 scoring weeks. So
absolutely.
But yeah, I'll go next because I had a pretty cracker of a week. I got ranked 290th in this round, so got a 1278, pretty top notch score there. Went from 1,700 down to 420. I'm ranked now overall, which is really good. In top 500, so very happy with that. But I'm not too confident in this week's team just because of all the outs, but we'll get to that now. So we'll start with the Tragics overall group. Still number one, that's Sam from the Elite, sitting in 5th place overall, mate. Well done there. Coming in second, we've got Frank's Tanks, who is 44th overall, and third, old mate, 58th overall. I'm like ranked 420, and I'm still 14th in our overall group. So this is a pretty elite group this year. So. Yeah. But I'll make a vow now because I have a habit of coming home pretty strong. If I do win the overall and I take someone off this, I'll donate my ring to the second place person because I won this couple of years back. I don't need another ring, so it's on video now, so I can't take it back.
Right, I'll remind you of that when I get there.
Awesome. All right, let's get cracking. So first up, first game, Sharks versus Cows. Mate, any news here?
Yeah, this should be a good round. I mean, the Cows have they play in the bye round. I don't see a lot, Holmes has been killing it, especially since I stupidly sold him. Yeah, I don't see much to buy here. The only ones of interest is Cotter, but I mean, I feel like Cotter could go back to the bench and Granville could start again. But Granville's interesting. I've had a few people ask me about Granville. I personally wouldn't be touching him. And I still like all the backs from the Sharks, but obviously Sharks don't play round 13, so we're really starting to build now for the bye rounds.
Yeah, I'm really I'm liking Hines here for a nice big score in this game.
Yeah.
I know it's a home game for the Sharks. Looking like one of the only dry games this week as well, which probably puts a negative against Hines with his dry hair, but I'm sure he'll get it wet somehow. So, but
I'm actually considering straight C there.
Yeah, I'm looking at my team. I haven't got very many. I've got 3 spare green dots in my first starters on my team. So I was a bit concerned about any players that might pull out last minute. So I've got 3 spare green dots. So looping wouldn't be the biggest issue for me. But as long as you got to look at the rest of the games and see if there's any backups that could be a good captain. So obviously we can't captain Cleary with VC Hines. So but I've got a decent backup in mine, which I'll get to a bit later anyway. So.
Yeah, well, I was considering myself with Latrell as my captain and VC Hines. It was the only other option I considered. But like you, I've only got a couple of them on the bench. I think I've got 3, Mole, Perham and Katoa. So, I'm sort of hoping for a late carnage because Perham plays the last round, which means that I can kind of slide him in there for Taruva if he's out and hopefully that disrupts other people.
Yeah, I love when that happens too, and because I always like if you long as have a plan to back up, which is what you're very famous for, having that backup plan. When when everything collapses, you're ready for right for the picking. So I'm really liking Holmes in this game too. I like him. He's up against Talakai's side, isn't he? I'm pretty sure.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah, so I think Holmes might have a bit of room to run there. So I'm liking Holmes on this side as well. So
actually, I'm sorry, mate, he's not. Talakai runs on the left side.
So just running on Ramey inside, yeah.
Yeah, the other side.
Yeah. That's right. Either way, those centers on that on to the Sharks, I noticed they're bigger boys. They might not be the fastest when it comes to defense. I think Holmes may be able to manipulate his way around there. So I'm liking Holmes in this game too.
Yeah, especially the one thing Kennedy doesn't do well is he gets up in the line, so the kick behind could be on for the Cows. And I do agree with you with Holmes chasing that kick. So yeah, I'm with you on that.
Awesome. All right. Next game, first game for the Friday night, Parramatta versus Newcastle. He Dunster's back.
Yeah, a lot of people got lucky there. I mean, we warned that was going to happen, didn't we? Mate, there's a lot of players in this game of interest. So one of the players that I am looking at that I may do, I'm deciding between Olakau'atu, Curran, or Ryan Madison. I'm sort of waiting for Maddo to drop a bit, but he just keeps pumping out. Dylan Brown, obviously, Will Penasini, but the one I really like is Clint Gutherson. He's a quite achiever. I think that if you're looking for getting rid of Turbo this round, if people are looking at doing that, you know, you couldn't go too wrong, I reckon, bringing in Gutho if you got Latrell as well.
Yeah, I haven't really done too much in-depth research on Gutho, but over the Origin period, from the memory, I think he tends to go up pretty well. He tends to kind of turn up, doesn't he?
Well, that's right. I mean, they don't have a great lot going out of in Origin. You know what I mean? Their spine's pretty much untouched. The Eels, so they tend to do well through that duration. You know, they could lose Paulo and maybe Madison, but I don't see a lot of other players that they lose in that side, which means that, you know, and they've got Hopgood to come straight in, and they've got Cartwright. So
and they've got RCG. He's probably blacklisted from playing Origin again because Cleary's on that team. But but I still see like they got some good depth in their forwards. I think Parramatta.
Yeah.
So like even like that player was it Greg Makatoa, all these young guns that they can fill in and do a job for them. So there's not much difference there when they do go away. So Parramatta will be a force to reckon with over the Origin period.
Yeah, absolutely. And on the other side, so we've got good old Lockie Miller, who's another one if you're looking to upgrade Turbo or down, you know. Lachlan Miller, although their draw does get a little bit tougher, but they do play round 13. Gagai will play Origin. But Marzu and Best, you know, like I miss Marzu and I'm annoyed yet. It wasn't a deliberate. You know, I'm not going to go into excuses, but I wanted to get him. But I'll tell you a person that's a little potty that's actually scoring really well in that side is Fitzgibbon. Lachlan Fitzgibbon. So if you're trying to downgrade someone like Elise Katoa this week and you're looking for someone, Curran and Fitzgibbon are both, they'll give you change and play with 13.
Yeah, I agree with that, especially with Ponga back as well. Because Ponga and Fitzy, they work really well together, don't they? So
yeah,
that could be a good little combination there.
And you notice that Lachlan Miller, he's not that sweep type player. He does all that busting and tackle bust and that kind of stuff, and he'll do your hit ups coming back from his in 20, but he doesn't do the back play. It's Ponga, and Ponga does put that short ball in very well for Lachlan Fitzgibbon. So you know, if you're looking for a pod. Plays round 13. He's your man.
Yeah, I'm getting Dylan Brown this week, so I'm really hoping he does a good job for me. But I think this is a good game for him to do so. But in saying that, I don't think the Knights have been as bad as we all think they have been. Like they've been much better than they were the last few years. Like they haven't lost as many because they were very competitive against Penrith that game.
I would go as far as to say that they're the second most improved side behind the Warriors.
Yeah, I was thinking the same thing. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, like you say, I mean, I still can't get over the people arguing that they played so well they should have got a point. You know, like it does my head in some of this stuff. You know, they played well, they didn't get there. It is what it is. I've never been a fan of the Golden Point, but it is what it is. Yeah, the second most improved side, in my opinion.
Yeah, definitely. So, all right, we'll move on to this game. This game here, I'm looking forward to, actually. It's going to be Broncos versus South Sydney. I'm looking forward to this game. Suncorp Stadium there, I believe.
Yeah.
But yeah, I'm liking this game a lot. It might be South might have a bit of an advantage there with a few key players out.
Yeah, well, both their second rowers, from memory, they've got, who was it? Yeah, Host and Cheekham. I don't like either, to be fair. But in the Broncos, the two players that I do like from Bunnies, I already have Latrell Mitchell, but Isaiah Tass, another one who's priced at a nice price range. So if you're looking for someone to bring into the back line again that plays round 13, I like Tass. Campbell Graham has priced himself out. I was 3K short to get Campbell Graham, so I went Toho for his 29 on your Toho.
And Tass is the only thing I don't like about Tass in this game is Staggs has been showing how good of a defender he has been lately. Tass, great attacker, and he's on that side because I think
Yeah,
Campbell
that's
Graham's
right.
been playing on the right hand side lately. So yeah, I think it might be a challenge this game for Tass, but
Yeah,
I do
and
like
I
him as a
agree.
player.
Stags is a demon defender, and you're right. Tash does run at Stags in this game.
Yeah,
And speaking of the Broncos, I mean Reece Walsh, in my opinion, is now a sell. Their draw gets tougher from here. Having said that, I feel like this round's going to impact a lot of people with out, so they might not be in the luxury of being able to trade
yeah.
Reece Walsh. But the other one I like as a pod is Herbie Farnsworth.
Yeah, I was looking at making a trade so downgrade. I mean, I was looking at potentially boosting this week. And one of them was to turn Alamonte into Farnworth because he's actually at a really good I'm not sure what his price was, but it was at a really good price. Like
Yeah,
I think I had about 620 to spend and I had 100k left or something when I looked at it after getting him. So
my back line in draft is Tass, Herbie Farnworth, Bradman Best, and Lachlan Miller with Kalen Ponga at fullback. And those four have been just quietly achieving every round, you know, like especially Tass and Miller, obviously.
Yeah. Yeah, definitely.
And Farnworth.
Alrighty. Yeah, and I'll spoiler alert for me. I'm actually thinking that Latrell is a decent captain option this week. Because I think that they're going to be going through the middle a little bit, and I reckon Latrell could put on a bit of a show here. I think Rabbitohs get away with this one. I think.
Just one last thing I wanted to say because there's a couple of things happening here. So for the Rabbitohs, Tavita Tyler returns from a knee injury in a boost for the Bunnies, and Hame Sele goes to the bench, and Daniel Safida back to 18th man. And for the Broncos, Corey Oates has got a knee injury, which brings Jesse Arthurs onto the wing, and of course Ezra Mann's out, and Palacia replaces Payne Haas. And look, just want to say this: if you're selling Payne Haas, don't do it. Just don't. It's just
the 1 week, yeah.
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 Yeah, just the 1 week. I had a choice to sell. I needed to have another front row to play, and I could. I'm just selling Welch because he's not playing 13, and he's not playing this week, so I'm just selling Welch, and it actually helps me now. I'm going to have Tarpany and Haas as my two front rowers moving forward. So and don't get me wrong, Welch isn't doing anything wrong. He's not doing much great either. So
yeah, well, that's right. He's usually known for his offloads. I mean, he did well getting his 55. If you watch the game, he got a lot of that in the second half. I actually think it's time to sell Welsh. He's done his job.
Yeah.
That was my plan this week. I've got Tarpany and I was going to go Welsh to Haas.
Yeah.
So, I wished I had started Haas instead of Tarpany, but it is what it is.
Oh, this is where Tarpany starts to take a role. This is what I think it's forgetting now. I reckon he's still quietly averaging 61 right now, and he's not really doing much. So I reckon this is the time of the year where he starts to go really well. Tarpany. Yeah. That's why I'm trying to get on now and get ahead of the game. So.
Well, that's the game we're up to anyway, which is the Raiders versus the Dolphins. And one of the most traded in this round is Robert Jennings. I don't hate it. His price range, I won't be doing it, but you know, I mean, if you need to trade down to trade up, you know, for people that are doing that trade, they must be selling someone like I'm imagining Warbrick or Taruva. Yeah, don't sell Taruva. Even if he doesn't play, I just think that the Panthers, you're going to want him, even though you don't have him for round 13, you're going to want him for 14. So people start building for 13, take a real good look at the buy rounds, because if you start building just for 13, you might find yourself in trouble because there's a few players from round 13 that are missing round 14.
Yeah, I think there's half the teams don't play on round 13, but then there's 3 teams that don't play in 14, and it's an unusual one. So yeah, I know. So I was a bit going to sneak up on a few people, I reckon, that one. So I
think it's Manly and Eels were 2 of them. I can't remember the other one. It might have been Bunny. No, it wasn't Bunny. I can't remember who the other one was. I should know that. All right.
So we got Canberra and Dolphins. Yeah. So would you if you bought Jennings though, would you play him?
No, I wouldn't. I mean, well, if you had to play him, but I mean, our back line should be looking a lot better now. You know, most people should have 4 gun centre wings by now, surely. So he's purely a money buy, I would imagine. Raiders do leak on edges, so I mean, you know, he may go well. I personally wouldn't be playing him. The other players in here of interest, obviously, we talked about Joseph Tarpany. I think he's a buy. People are looking at Jeremy Marshall-King for Grant. Another one I just would not be doing. Personally, I'll be holding Grant all the way through, and he just showed you why you want to keep him. He was one, and the other one, of course, is Hudson Young, although he's on the peripheral for playing State of Origin, so just be careful of that.
Yeah, there's a few players on that peripheral now, which makes it hard. It's every year, there's always a couple of those guys on the edge there. I think last year it was Cotter, and then Cotter came out and just killed it in Origin. So,
Yeah,
um,
Carrigan and Cotter were insane last
yeah,
year.
yeah, my nerves because I got Madison a bit earlier, and I was like, oh, he's looking good. I'm hoping he doesn't get that Origin spot, but he's a very big chance of getting it the way he's been playing lately. So,
Well, I think Olakawatu is more of a chance. I think the one thing that goes against Madison is his HIE history,
yeah,
and I don't know that will rule him out or not. But I personally would have. I love Madison. He would be in
yeah.
my Origin side.
He's been doing pretty good. Like last week was the worst score I got from him, and it was what 59 he got. So I'm pretty happy with that base. So.
Yeah, yeah, his base is solid.
That's it. All right. So after that game, we've got Manly versus the Gold Coast. Any thoughts here? Are we thinking Turbo going to play? Do you know? Just all guessing right now, aren't we?
Yeah, well, we are. I mean, the reports back is that he's got to run captain's run. So I keep your eye out. Personally, what I can say to you is that Sloane pays in the last game. For those that are looking at going Turbo to Sloane, just wait. I mean, you can make that trade at the announcement of the Manly game. You know, I personally are going to hold Turbo. Although, look, I've been watching him very closely, and as I said in the chat last week, I kept saying to my son, I just something in my gut tells me go Tedesco, don't go Turbo. He's just not looked right, has he? I don't know.
I'm getting run. I think it was that in that first game I watched him. He made that break, and he didn't even bother
Stefano.
running. He didn't even
Yeah,
bother running. He just turned
Stefano
around,
ran
looked
it
for a
down.
player. Yeah. He's managed to get points for me in those first few games and made a lot of money for me, but he's just, yeah, I think he's just been getting lucky there because he's not like gets run down by Stefano, was it? I think he ran him down.
Yeah. So the
So
players, if you don't own David Fafita, that's someone that you should be owning in your side. Tino Fasuamuali, have you say his name? He's been incredibly good as well. And so Sammy hasn't been too bad. I think Pereira's a sell now. So if you're looking to move someone on, that's probably who I'd be looking at. Ruben Garrick and Turbo were a huge letdown last week. But if anyone's considering selling Garrick, I just wouldn't do that. If Turbo's out, he'll move to fullback. Oh, actually, he might not. Weeks will probably come in at fullback.
yeah, I reckon if that happens, like my theory is that Turbo plays and he just plays very limited, which he has been, and then gets subbed off. And that's my fear.
Yeah.
I would rather him get not named and then have weeks there because that way I'm not like it's like what happened with Host a couple, was it last week last week Host. He gets named, everyone's looking good. People traded him in, ready to go for that price rise. Then he plays 13 minutes and buggers off. So I think I'd rather have that complete knowing that he's not going to play before you go. So
So someone I haven't mentioned is Cooper John. So that Schuster is just people kept saying he got dropped. He actually didn't. He's re-hurt his calf. It's another whatever it is. I'm actually starting to consider Cooper Johns as for Katoa to Cooper Johns. Plays in that bye round. Could be interesting.
Yeah, and also I was like, even if he does come back and play next week, for example, is he really showing anything? Like
No, mate, he was terrible, absolutely terrible. He made 0 tackles, 0 runs. You know, he made tackles, sorry, but you know, he was just so inactive. He was so ineffective. He was so uninterested.
That's what I was thinking. Yeah, that's the word I was going to use. Very disinterested, wasn't he? That's what I was.
That's right. To be fair, though, the Tigers came off a bye. I said to you that this game would remain within 10, and I was right. Just for those that are out there laughing at me, saying that the Tigers would stay within 10 and Manly. All right. So we'll go to the next one, brother.
Yeah. So speaking of Tigers, next one, Panthers versus the Tigers. I'm going to say this out now. I think at the start of this season, you were saying the Tigers may be that team that might be a bit more elusive and struggle to get points against. I'm seeing some signs of that now.
Yeah.
They just had a few new players in there that weren't quite meshing too well, but I think they're starting to get there. Not there yet, but they have it. You can see it's moving forward.
I think the young Buller fullback, I don't know if you saw him get out of that 20 when he was trapped. You know, he's interesting. What I see from the Tigers is I do believe they're trying and they're defending well. They just don't have the points in them. So as you just pointed out, I think they'll be super coach point killers in their defence. But I just think that they'll still struggle to win games, especially against a side like the Panthers. What I think is interesting is Tyrone Peachy's come in. I think that's solid for Penrith. He's, you know, as much as some people don't like Peachy, he's a good player.
Yeah, I've always loved Peachy as a perfect 14. But
yeah, he is.
Yeah, I'm not saying anything bad. I just like the idea of Jenkins or McLean coming in instead, but that's just me. I think
Yeah,
Peachy's more solid though. You can probably trust him a bit more. But in saying that, you got to think like this game. There's been word that there's going to be restings. They've
yeah, that's
named most of their players, obviously, but there's some word like they've got Cogger on the centre bench there ready to go. They have Jenkins on the centre bench as well, ready to go in case Taruva's out as well.
yeah,
So yeah, there's going to be some big change. This is the big game. We're going to look at some changes. And
yeah.
because it's the third last game of the season, we need to have something planned ready to go.
Well, absolutely. And the other thing is, if you pay attention to the extended bench, they pulled a lot of players out of the Reggies or whatever it is, and the positions. It's a centre there. There's a half there. So just watch Cleary, Taruva. Hopefully, they pull out their number 9 and let old
Johnny Luke.
Johnny Luke
Yeah.
have a run for 60 or 80.
Yeah. So yeah, my fear here is a lot of people might be considering captaining say a Cleary here. But my fear is just that potential changes there with having Cogger there available. So and if you put the captain on him, how many choices do you have of captain afterwards?
Yeah,
If
that's
he
right.
does get dropped or does they have say they won't do it, but if they have Cogger on the bench, for example, to relieve him if he's not feeling that right, it's a risk going Cleary as captain for sure.
If you're looking for a buy in this game, by the way, Critter's a buy. Goal kicking at the moment with Cleary out. So if you're looking for someone from Penrith, with a bit of strike, people are talking about Toho. I got Toho. It just does not get past Critter, and it just does not get past Targo. So if Saruva does play this week, Peachy does pass a little better than Targo. So if he does play this week, I reckon he could score quite well.
Yeah, I'm liking that. I've got Taruva on my starting team at the moment because
Yeah,
I am happy with that because Peachy has that very good ball playing kind of skills when he needs to
yeah,
use it, playing
yeah.
in the halves, playing at lock. So I'm really liking the idea of Taruva getting some ball there. But that's if he even plays. But that ankle injury looked a bit nasty when that
Yeah.
sniper got him.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I've done that myself, role playing touch, and it's, I think he'll play, but like I said, I've had it happen before, and it can bruise right up, and you can
Yeah,
sit out for 2 or 3 weeks. So
yeah.
depends how bad it affected him.
Unlucky for him, he did his and got caught on camera doing it, poor bugger. So never happens to me when I've done it before. So
Yeah, just on Stefano, if you are in the abilities of selling right now, he'd be a perfect sell for Tarpany. If you're looking if you do have Haas, I know, I mean, just kick along with it this week. Even if you have to play Mole or if you have to play Sonny Luke, just do it. Don't go trading out Grant or Haas just for the 1 round points. Save those trades. Kick along with the points this week. You will make them up. Trust me.
yeah, I'm playing Stefano this week because I have no choice.
Yeah,
But to me, 30, 40 points there, I'll take that considering
yeah.
rather than selling a 70, 80 point a week guy.
And versus the Panthers, he should get pretty good base.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, he'll make a few more tackles there in the middle there. So
Yeah.
because like we said, we all know that the wingers from Penrith don't get the ball. It's always going down the middle. So there's gonna be more tackles made by the front rowers, the middle
Yeah,
forwards.
that's right. Absolutely. Even the Tahoe and Taruva come up through the middle when they're bringing it back.
Yeah, definitely. This next game, I'm gonna look forward to watching this game. It's gonna be the Warriors versus the Roosters.
Yeah.
Warriors fought hard. It was a great game to watch. I enjoyed that.
They should have won.
Yeah.
Yeah, for mine, they should have won. I was so annoyed. I played Schuster over Ford and I played Warbrick over Perham. Perham got 87 and Ford scored in the first try of the game. So I was an unhappy camper.
Yeah.
And Schuster just sat there and done nothing. And Warbrick earned his name, the Brick. Just doesn't.
Yeah, I played Warbrick and I also played Schuster, but I also played forward, so that made me a little bit better.
Yeah, right, nice. Look, I really like this game, mate.
Yeah.
No, that's what I was going to say. I really like this game. Look, there's a few players of interest I think that you could buy in here. So I'm actually buying Josh Curran, starting at 13. Look, he only played 25 minutes last week for 17 points. So people are probably looking at and scared off. If you go through and look at his stats, he's had some pretty good scores when he started at lock. So points per dollar, him or Olakau'atu, I feel are really good buys at the moment. The one thing about Curran over Olakau'atu is another on the peripheral who could play Origin. Curran can't. You know what I mean? So the other ones of interest. So people are going to laugh at this. Sean Johnson, right?
I got him in my draft, mate, because no one had him, and I'm like laughing the way to the bank. He's killing it for me.
Sean Johnson is absolutely killing it. And at the moment, Cleary is not goal kicking. You know, like I haven't seen anything that's insane, but you know, it's an option if you're one of those daredevils out there. And the other one that I liked at the moment, there was one other. Oh, of course, Aiden Fanua-Blake. I said it last week. I say it again this week. If you're looking for a front rower and you've got, you know, Haas or you got Welsh, sorry, and you want to move up to someone, you couldn't go much worse than going with Aiden Fanua-Blake. I'd even talk you into going him over.
Yeah, that was literally what I was about to ask you then. Would you go, because
Yes.
I watched him on the weekend, mate. He looked like he was having a crack. He was on fire that game.
They all are, mate. Look, the Warriors, they bought the best this season. They are playing up the middle, hard, tough footy. And I actually think they'll beat the Roosters this week. And I know my son's a Roosters supporter. I hope he didn't hear me and come out. And I hope they don't for him. But I just think that they've got the game in and they could upset the Roosters.
Honestly, I see this game, if it was in Sydney, it'd be a close one. I think the Warriors actually get them in at home. So,
yeah. The other thing I was going to say is, so a lot of people are looking at buying Tedesco this week. I don't know if Tedesco looks the same this season either. I mean, he scored a try early in the game and he still only ended up with about 69, was it?
Yeah.
I mean, he has solid base though, and he's always in the top 5 scorers in Supercoach. So to have Latrell and Tedesco, I would not be unhappy with that myself.
Yeah, it's gone. I'm looking forward to when Puppy's back, see what he's doing, because at the moment the only fullback, or besides Walsh, who stood out, was Latrell. Really, because the Turbo at the start, now he's kind of gone off the rails, and then you had Walsh that was doing really well, but he's probably a sell now. But then you got to think, who's the other option? Like, I'm waiting for Puppy to come back, and what we are round 9 now. The prediction at the start of the year was round 10.
Yeah.
I've heard nothing of that. It's gone quiet for a while, though, hasn't it? So,
if you own Nat Butcher or Egan Butcher, I'd be moving them on, even though Egan Butcher, in my opinion, was the second best player on the field from Keary. But at the moment, they've got Sestilli and Gus back, and they're going to take minutes, eventually probably take them spots. So, you know, if you're looking for someone to move on, Egan or Nat could be a good play.
Yeah, definitely. All right, last game of the round, St. George Dragons versus the Bulldogs. Talk about a nice go to sleep early on Sunday, I think.
Yeah.
Thoughts here?
Yeah, well, so Preston, obviously, most people would own. I would be holding him for this game. I think this will be an interesting game. The two fullbacks are the talk of the town, really. Tyrone Sloan's the most bought in this round. He's got a minus 35 break even. I own Hayes Perham. I considered going from Hayes Perham to Sloan, but I feel it's sideways, so I'm just not going to do it. But I don't hate the idea of going Turbo to Sloan, plays round 13, put some money in the bank, build some money. You know, there's not a lot you can do now. Turbo's just leaking really badly, and you don't want to leak him right down to 500k.
Yeah, it's a bit nerve-wracking there because I started with him and he went up quite nicely, and now he's going back down again. So I've got one more week of whether I trust him or not. That's so honestly, if he doesn't play this week, I might even just hold on this week because I wouldn't lose any cash.
Yeah.
But if the week after, I'll be selling him more than likely, just because I'm nervous.
Yeah, I just noticed Moga's out.
Yeah, Moga. Remember when he scored that try?
Oh, that's right.
Yeah, he hurt his arm. He was holding his whole arm. I'm not sure. I thought it was a big stinger, but he was in pain towards the end. He was trying to call to get off. So
the way they're playing to his side really well, and they're creating that overlap really nicely. And he's a big, strong body, and you know, very hard to stop. I've never been a fan of him in Supercoach, but I think you couldn't, if he was still playing this particular round, I wouldn't hate it.
Yeah,
with his negative break even.
We need to get some news on how long that injury is, because I think, was it Max Pangai? He's actually coming in, who's a bit of a cheapie.
Yeah, that's right. They got Matthew and Max. Yeah, actually, that's what I said. That's why I didn't notice. So Max Pangai, if we can, I'll find out that information for you on the NRL. So for those that don't know, just type in NRL casualty ward 23, and it'll give you the list of injuries. I did post it on the page this morning, and there's a long list.
Yeah, definitely. All right, well, that wraps all the games up. Is there anything you want to talk about?
Just one more, sorry. Jack Bird. If you're looking for a pod, Jack Bird's duel, he's been playing some bloody great football. Hasn't quite translated into Supercoach, but, you know, I don't hate it.
Yeah, well, ceiling-wise, not translating, but he's still getting pretty decent scores. I think he's averaging about 60 odd every single game, so he's still pretty safe. So,
yeah, two things I want to talk about. Let's start with Jack Whiten. What do you think about the Souths buying Jack White? And geez, I watched the NRL 360 tonight, and Kent done my head in. The bias that he has with Ricky Stewart is just so annoying. What do you think of them buying him?
Honestly, mate, like as long as he's not, I'm always against breaking contracts. As long as he's not breaking a contract, I don't see what's wrong with it. You know what I mean? Like he wants to go out and play, and honestly, that'd be a scary thought. Not because he's playing, him playing in South team with these brothers down there. Essentially, they're gonna have a great connection. Like you need to have that kind of mesh connection ready to go, and they're gonna be like in each other's minds when they're playing. They're gonna be doing some crazy stuff. If I'm looking forward to watching him play down there. I've never been a big fan of the Raiders altogether. I live in Canberra, and I'm probably I hated the most out of all the teams. And I go for Penrith, so I'm supposed to hate Parramatta more, but I hate Canberra more, just so you know. And Ricky is one of the main reasons for that. I'm hoping he doesn't listen to our podcast because I'm sure he's a nice guy off the field, but he's got a lot of bad things to say about Penrith, so deal with it.
Yeah, that's right. Well, the thing I think that Jack brings to that side is, I mean, they've got a gun spine, they've got a gun side, and he literally covers nearly everything. You could play him at lock, you could play him at 5'8", you could play him at centre, you could even play him at fullback. So I think it's a terrific sign, and I believe he's going there because he wants to win a grand final. And for me, if I like, he's been on for the last 4 years, $1 million a year, so he's made $4 million just in 4 years. So taking a little pay cut to get a premiership, you know, if I played as long as he didn't have a premiership, I'd want one too.
Yeah, honestly, I think I never really liked him personally. But that's mainly because I like humble players. So this is coming from a Panthers fan, where those guys aren't really humble. But in saying that, the players that I like that are my favourite are the humble ones. The ones that like the Nico Hines. I think he's one of my favourite players at the moment. Just because of humble. And then there's Brian Toto, who might be a bit of smart ass, but he's a bit cocky but still humble the same way. You know what I mean? I love that kind of stuff. And I've never been a big fan of Jack Whiten personally, but I always thought he was a quality player, and he was actually. This is one thing I've always been an advocate for: is even though I don't like him, he's built for Origin.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, he's got that mongrel in him. He's got that, that he is. Yeah, I've always liked him at Origin level. So respect where respect is given, and I think if he goes down there, South will be scary next year.
What's with 5'8"? We've got Robert Louis, we've got Walker, Cody Walker, we've got Dylan Walker, and we've got Jack, and they're probably my 4 most hated players. Like seriously. So there's not much else to cover this week, guys. Well done to all those that are doing well in the Tragics comp, all those that are doing well in the AJC comp, the Andrew Johns Cup. Well done to Herbies, mate. You're having a good season, and you too, Dan. Good on you, mate. Like, it's good to get a bit of respect on our pod, and at least one of us is doing well.
Usually it's just one of us doing well, so it's all good.
That's right. Well, last year, and we have our years. That's the way it plays out. You know what I mean? We all know what we're doing. It just comes down then who gets the right rub of the green done it. It makes the right decision at the right time, and but that's the way it is. For me, I've actually stopped talking in the chats when the games are playing because I get so wound up that I think, all right, I'm just not going to talk in the chat until the game finishes because I'm right. As soon as the game's over, I'm right.
Yeah, it's funny you say that because I don't talk in the chats when any games come, especially when my team's playing. Because I've listened to the chats and I've seen what the chats are doing. And when someone is actually got their team playing and the rest making calls, you just sound like a catty little bitch when you're refereeing. So I'm like, I'm not going to sound like that. I'm just going to get over it. I'm going to watch and get the popcorn out and watch the conversation go. It's always good.
It's mainly when the Tigers play, bro. I'm just so freaking frustrated with the Tigers at the moment. And the other thing I'm frustrated with is just I keep second guessing myself, and both times my decisions have been made on fear. Like I could have looped Latrell, but because everyone was on Cleary, and it was like 64% or something were captaining Cleary, and I thought, oh no, I'm 3K, I don't want to take that risk of him going huge, so I didn't do it. Then the next week, I thought to myself, let's get Tedesco. Then all of a sudden, I thought, everybody's gone turbo. It's just going to bite me. And I had VC on Hines as well, and I kept sitting from now on, the one thing I'm going to do from now on is I'm not following the pack. I've always done the best, Dan, when I've just trusted my own gut.
Yeah. That's the best advice you can ever give anyone. So
absolutely, man.
So speaking of best advice, let's start talking trades and captain talk. Are you doing any trades all this week, mate?
I am, mate. So I'm doing Elise Katoa to Curran or Olakau'atu. It's one or the other. I haven't quite decided. I'm thinking I'm leaning towards Curran.
Yep.
And the only trade I may make is Turbo to Sloane if Turbo's ruled out. If Turbo plays, I might just bite my teeth and go with it. I've got a lot of numbers this week, so I've actually got a fairly strong side. A lot of sides are pretty heavily impacted. So yeah, that'll be my only trade, mate. Katoa and Curran.
Yeah, I'm looking at moving. So Munster, he's not going to play very many games moving through Origin, so I'm going to go Munster to Brown. So to me, very sideways, but I'm going to get more points in the long run. So I have to be a bit of an upgrade in the long run.
Yeah, I like it.
So and then I'm gonna get that cash I get there actually helps me go Welch to Tarpany. But I'm thinking about leaning towards AFB now. I like that idea of that. Just have a quick look, do a bit of see how my gut feels. But I'm liking that. I've got when I do those trades, I still have 3 spare green dots ready to go. So if there's any late carnage, I don't want to, but I got the Isaiah Katoa there ready to play. I got Alamonte there ready to play. And really, last resort, I've got Dunster still sitting there. So I've still got a few there. These guys are the last resort. But if I'm looking like I might have a really shocker of a round and I need to do something, I might even just look at trade, because I've got a bit of cash there now from that downgrade. I can always trade Warbrick out and actually get in a higher centre wing.
Yeah.
And maybe look at a Herbie Farnworth. If I can get a Herbie Farnworth, that might be a little sneaky option there. So
yeah, I really like that trade. I really do. And I really like the matchup, although I'll talk to you about this later on. I've actually gone through and looked at what sides, who's more depleted and the matchups, and I've written it down. We'll talk about that closer to round 13, but who'll be missing, who'll be running at who, that kind of stuff. So, but I like them trades. I especially like Aiden Fanua-Blake. I really do.
Yeah, I think it's a bit more potty as well because a lot of people already have Tarpany, so AFB might be a sneaky little one. So
and the fact that you're up where you are, you want that. Like everyone's going to go to Tarpany. You've got Haas. Haas and AFB are very similar models in the builds, and they have that. They're very robust players. Tarpany's got the offload. AFB doesn't quite have that as much in his game, but his tackle busts and I just feel like it's got the ceiling at the moment in that Warriors side.
Yeah, definitely. Let's talk VC captain choices. What are we looking at?
So I'm either going to straight captain Hines or I might VC because I've got a fairly short bench, which means my AEs are pretty. I might captain Latrell and vice captain Hines. I think they're the only two I've really considered this week.
Literally no point in me saying anything. That's exactly what I'm doing as well.
Oh, is that right?
Yeah, so I got the Latrell at the moment. I do have the option of Manu as well as a captain, but I don't like Manu against the Warriors who aren't really leaking as many. I understand Munster got a nice ton against them last week, but at home, Warriors are another beast, even higher. So
yeah. Where was this game being played at?
Oh, I'm just knowing it was New Zealand were playing. It's at New Zealand home. I just haven't even looked at. I always put down who's the home game, is it?
Yeah,
I haven't even seen where the game is. I just know that it's New Zealand home game. So
I agree with you. In the middle, there is their strength, the Warriors, and I don't like Manu as a C for this game myself.
Yeah.
I agree with you.
I'm Mount Smart, so yeah, it is there.
Yeah, I agree with you 100%.
Yeah, so I think but yeah, it is because I still got, like I said, I got Katoa, I got Alamonte, and I got who else? I got there like Dunster. Do I really just want to avoid the pain of offering the loop or just get captaining? So yeah, so it might be the better option. But I'm like, I also my gut says Latrell goes big this week.
Yeah, I feel it too.
So all good. All right. Nothing. Do you want to do a couple of bold predictions or?
Oh yeah, I really haven't looked at it, to be honest with you, mate. I like I'm going to say Tass to go 75 plus.
I like it. I will say Cleary is going to go sub 70, which is against the Tigers is actually a pretty bold prediction. So
it is.
Awesome. All right.
If you're going to pod this week, though, Cleary could be a captain option, but just keep in mind that he could be out. Can I just say something at the end of our pod before we finish? We set up Tragic's page with a specific audience in mind, which is that we're PG. We don't like any of this nonsense. So I just want people to understand that are on our page. We won't tolerate people that go out of their way to write nasty things or say swear words on our page. I had one specifically the other day where I actually warned both of them not to do it. It's been good, our page, for a long period of time. We're starting to grow a lot, and I just want people to understand that's how our page works. We want to be able to have women and children come on our page and know that they can read what we're putting up there without reading all that stuff, hate stuff that people want to do sometimes. Save that for the other pages.
Yeah, I'm not one of those guys that wants to build the biggest page with the most 20,000 people. I'd rather boot the people out who are being rude and have the people that are here nice and close and happy. So,
Absolutely.
it does not bother me at all. I will stick around the 2,000 mark for as long as we need to. If that anyone over 2,000 is starting to be rude, they're gone.
Absolutely.
Awesome. All right, that pretty much wraps everything up. So thanks everyone for listening in, and we'll be back again next week. Hope you all
Have a good week, everyone.
Arrows. Bye.
So you want to be a champion?
Oh no, now the knee. Well, that was it. Manu, what's he done there? He's sold the dummy with a knee injury. It's a fake knee injury. Manu's set up and thrown from Momirovski.
It's the next tackle. He gets an offload. He goes back and gets the football. Probably feels a cramp coming on in the back of his calf. And then just takes off.
Oh, what a beauty. So, you pick which has been the better moment. The bloke kicking the ball back from the traffic at the southern end, or Manu, the cramp, the fibber, and takes off to set up a try.